Hey guys, welcome to another What's News. Without further ado, I might as well get on to some of the topics that I've been following within the last few weeks. First off, we finally in New York have a mayoral race between the two candidates, Democratic Blasio versus I hope I'm saying his name right, Lohada. There has been a little bit of early polls, and if you read the early polls, which I advise you not to take it for face value, it has Blasio in a landslide 65-22. Of course, this could all change as the weeks go along after they do the debates, and before we know, we may have a tight race on our hand. So nothing is guaranteed. So for the race shows that many New Yorkers are more in favor of de Blasio than the Republican Lohada, but that could actually change. Um, so believe it or not, that's not my concern. Yes, I'm following the race. Yes, I'm keeping an eye on both candidates and what their views are and what they're basically running on. But I'm more concerned of the stuff that happened um, about a week and a half ago when the primary race has started and ended, and what happened in between. As you guys know, those who have followed New York news at least, there was a very strong possibility of having a runoff. There was even recounting some of the votes due to some, I like to say, problems with the numbering of the votes. Even though it was quite clear that Valencio had a double-digit lead, he had a 40.2% of the votes versus Thompson's 20, I believe 24 percent of the votes. It was still he still hasn't been declared the primary winner, which was kind of odd. Even though the fact is that only 2% of the precincts have only reported, and that made it even more odder that he still did not win. This was largely due to the fact, and I'm going to say it, that the incompetence of the people running the voting machines, the voting administration. And I'm just going to go on and say has to be the most inexcusable, pathetic way to organize something that's important as this. And I'm just happy that it wasn't the November election, because otherwise, the one that determined who's the mayor of New York City. Otherwise, it would have been even a huge disaster. Apparently, there was some big issues that happened. Some of the main voting booths did not open until much later. The time for the voting began at 6 and at 9. There was some voting booths that didn't open until 2 hours after the fact. You have machines broke down. You have people couldn't even fit in the machines. And the thing I'm just boggling about this is that this should not be an issue. This is 2013, and we're still facing the same stupid issue of machines not working as properly as they should, roofs not opening on time. This stuff should have been organized, should have been well planned a year, 2 years, 3 years in advance, and we're still having this problem. And I'm hoping that this doesn't become an issue comes election day on November, because if it did, man, somebody needs to really start to investigate how these practices is working. Me and my uncle had a nice word about it and said it has plenty to do more with the people who runs it, because as you all know, it consists of half Republicans, half Democrats, and you kind of get the feeling that the political parties involved in this is tinkering and making things even more difficult, which doesn't surprise me considering some of the laws that is passed all across the country about how people have to vote in this country, which is very, to me, it's just mind-boggling. But that's a whole different topic for another day. The point is that this could have been disastrous, especially for the Democratic Party, who we could have been weeks before we finally got a Democratic nominee, and by the time that happens, you already have the Republicans already in full scale, already campaigning, while we're still waiting to see who is going to be his opponent. Thankfully, Thompson have stepped down. He has seceded, and pretty much for the better of the Democratic Party, which I totally agree. Again, it is no question that I think they also won fair and square, and we now have our two candidates. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm very concerned about the voting process in about a month and a half time, and I'm hoping that people take notice, especially in the city, about how unorganized some of these voting machines are. They went back to the lever. Um, why they went back to the lever and not went to the new electronic, it's beyond me. I got my suspicious, but I'm gonna keep it, you know, I'm gonna keep it to myself until I actually get the full story. But to me, if you're gonna go with the levers and you're gonna go with the old machines, make sure they're in working order. Make sure we don't have this kind of issues again, because this could have been a disaster, not even for the Democrats, but even for the Republicans. Who knows how bad that would have ended up if they would have been in a double runoff. So I'm just saying, be more organized with the situation, guys. Be more organized. I'll leave a link below. You guys can check it out. Now that I got the New York story out the way, I have to touch on the Washington situation. I'm not going to go too deep into this because I think all the news coverage have pretty much done it for me, but I'm just going to get my own take of it. The story broke out that a man from New York had gone on a rampage. They shot and killed him, and once again, because of this, we have a debate on gun control, which to me doesn't shock me that they are thrown at again on the mix. But to me, it's like this: until I see the nation as one says enough is enough, we need gun control, and not let these big shot corporations and politics who doesn't care for anyone's life at all, who don't even care for people's lives in terms of owning guns, just making the other corporations who's lining their pockets be happy in terms of money making. We're gonna keep seeing the same problem. I think that it's evidence we're gonna keep seeing the same problem until a majority of people say enough already. Let's get some strong reform. Keep in mind, guys, Colorado, who recently also had some of their primaries and some of their elected officials got ousted because they put stricter gun laws, and because of that, they're going in office. So this is how still pretty much one-sided this issue is, especially when you have the NRA, as powerful they are, dictating some of these laws that's actually being implemented in our states, and until they are actually put in their place, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. This article that we'll leave behind has had a very interesting article here as well. Pretty much describes a few things. They said that the man who committed this crime ran a federal background check, and it was approved. The law enforcement visited the range on Monday, reviewed the video, and stored records. So keep in mind, he wasn't on record. So to them, he's fine. He's cleared out, and that's one of the main issues about the background check. It's not always accurate, especially for those who has not been deemed dangerous to own a gun. But keep in mind, it will always be imperfect until we at least talk about ways to improve it, or to make sure people who are not mentally stable should not own a firearm. Keep in mind, there's some states which surprisingly, I had a nice, good talk with a friend of mine who is a pro-gunner, and he doesn't even agree with it, that actually passed laws where the blind can actually own a gun. So it's kind of like, well, are you serious? But he told me something about, he compared a car to the gun, to how on a gun, where a car is a privilege, a gun is a right. So I'm always like, I'm a little bit lost with that situation, but in the end, when I thought about it, I said this is the main issue. People do have a right to carry firearms, no matter if they have a disability such as blindness, where if they shoot it, a 50% chance they might not hit their target, but actually hit a person that it was never meant to shoot. But this is the main issue that I think that I always have a main problem with. And when you bring up this issue, people said, "Oh, you can't mess with the amendment. The amendment says it, and that's it." The amendment can be changed. It can be re-ratified to be updated to once the situation that we're dealing with right now. And for some reason, they don't want that to happen. And until we have that big talk about how we can better have better laws to prevent these kind of tragedies from happening, it's just going to continue happening. There was an article that showed since the Newtown shooting how many shootings across the country has happened. And you would think this will actually spark more debates, but no. Um, Politicians who are in the NRA pockets are going to continue fighting against it. And guess what? They have been winning because people feel that owning a gun guarantee their safety when dealing with a situation like that. It doesn't. It's a false sense of safety, in my opinion. But then again, that's my opinion. I'd like to hear your guys. I will leave a link below to this article. It's not a very long article, but then again, I will leave other ones that will be linked to the Washington situation, and you guys can decide for yourself about how you feel about this issue. This one, I'm going to be very surprised that it's still going on in the year 2013, but the Young Turks have brought this to my attention. Got to give a shout out to them. I will leave a link to their channel that has this article here. But I went to look for this article, and I am deeply saddened and angered that this is still going on in the United States. But apparently, a public school in Arkansas has removed 3 siblings from school because administration suspected. I want to pick the key word here. Suspected they may be infected with the HIV. According to local disability rights organizations under the Americans with Disabilities Act, public school may not ban children simply accused on their HIV status. The 3 siblings, 2 has a disability or living with a foster family and attending a P-Ridge public school district, but the school district officials recently found documentation that suggests the birth mother and one of the kids are both HIV positive. They told the foster family that none of the children could return to school until they provide proof that they don't have the virus. And my question is, what if they did have the virus? Well, you're going to keep them out of school? That doesn't add up. You can't do that. But apparently we have places that feel they can still discriminate, and this will not be a major issue. When the kids were sent to school the next day, anyway, they were sent aside until the foster parents had picked them up. According to the article, keep reading here. The Disabilities Rights Center in Arkansas is accusing the school district of illegally discriminating against the children. They say that the school officials have no right to demand for medical testing at who the particularly since even if the children did test positive for HIV, they still have the right to attend public school. The fact that the foster parent have not provided documents that the children are HIV negative before entering the school is unlawful and immoral. The group said in a statement last week, it stigmatized individuals with disability or their previous disability as there is no indication that the individual have HIV. There's only an unlawful fear that they do. And they're absolutely right. This is pretty much, it's almost like we're living back in 1983 when this thing was a widespread and no one knew what the hell it was. And as a result, we have fear and panic all around. You would think that we have gone beyond that with education that actually shows what this is and how to prevent this and what medicine to take and everything else, and how does this spread through sexual transmission, or blood transfusion or infected needles. But apparently, because of critical thinking has been pretty much all but banned in certain parts of states, as well as just having the educational knowledge in general, you have stuff like this happening, and this is very, very sad that this thing happened like this. It's very, very sad. This is, I can't even fathom why this is still going on. But then again, all the examples here is shown. I'm gonna keep reading because I'm trying to calm down with this article. But it says the Disability Center is fighting to ensure that 3 kids will be placed back in school. The superintendent of the P. Rice district had declined to offer a statement on the controversy, but is indicated that the school sought legal counseling before making a decision. You sought the wrong legal counseling, man. Who did you seek that didn't actually agree with this? Last year, and this is actually something that I actually remember a while back. It says last year, a private school in Pennsylvania sparked widespread protests after denying admission to an HIV-positive boy, advocated pointing out that the children shouldn't be denied education opportunities simply because they have HIV. The school eventually reversed. So don't think it's just the South. This is an East Coast area that's and a private school, no doubt, that has actually done this. A decision after a legal battle with the U.S. Department of Justice agreed to provide staff additional HIV sensitivity training, something that I don't think anybody should have, especially if they had the education and the knowledge of what this disease is and how it's spread. Obviously, again, lack of education and lack of knowing is one of the reasons behind this. Despite significant medical advances that help HIV positive America live increasingly longer and healthier lives, many people still have a widespread conception about how the virus is actually spread. The lack of education, because again, that lack of education has contributed to the stigma surrounding HIV. And that's pretty much what it is. The lack of education. All the stuff I just said, this boils down to that one simple sentence: the lack of education contributing to the stigma. Because this should never have happened. No school, and this is a school for Pete's sake, and this should never happen. And the fact that we have this situation going on, I have no doubt that they're going to reverse this, because this is not something that's going to be thrown over the roof. The Young Turks have mentioned that they were surprised and angry at the fact that other people outside, and keep in mind I said outside of their district is making this a big deal. It is a big deal. You are purposely discriminating against people on something they may or may not have. And again, it brings up the question: if they were tested positive, are you telling me you're going to keep them out of school? That doesn't make any sense. And this is the same people who probably said we take education for all students seriously when they do stuff like that. I don't know what else to say other than the fact is that I will be keeping an eye on this. I have looked for other similar articles, and so far nothing has changed yet. But keep in mind, I won't be surprised in the next couple of weeks that may actually they may actually change their tune, especially if the negativity press keeps getting bigger and bigger. You can't do this to children. You can't do this to people, period. And the fact that they're doing this, and the excuse they have is that they want to better serve people with HIV, makes me wonder what kind of service they plan to do. Are you planning to bring together one class, or are you planning to isolate them as if they are not worthy of being amongst the same people getting the same education that we hold dear? And that's something I just don't get. Why do they have to feel that they have to need special attention? Just teach them. They're there for that purpose. You don't need to give them any kind of special attention at all. That's just, to me, it's a lot of fishiness going on here, and I think it's high time that that someone say, look, enough is enough already. You can't do this in a story. I'll leave a link below so you guys can take a look at it. I'll leave a link to all the videos, all the stuff I'm talking about. But I got two more stories I want to talk about here. Two weird stories, if I may call them weird. The first one happens to be a woman who stabbed a roommate who I believe was her ex, because he wouldn't stop listening to the Eagles. The article pretty much says, listening to the Eagles Venna Baba, 54, is accused of stabbing her live-in ex-boyfriend Monday night because he wouldn't stop listening to the Eagles at their North Carson's, South Carolina residence, according to ABC News 4. Police said that Bieber was watching TV with the man's brother and told her 64-year-old ex to turn his music off. The ex responded by telling her to shut up and took her tolerance to the limit by continuing to play the classic rock tune. Apparently you picked the wrong night to test the nerves, man. You picked the wrong night to do that. Apparently not one apparently, apparently not the one to take it easy. Bieber had allegedly grabbed a bread knife and started swinging at the man. He told the police by the time he managed to get the knife away from her, the desperado was already gone, headed towards the kitchen to get another. The Post in the corner reported that the victim locked himself in the bathroom to get away from her. The police said Bieber admitted to stabbing the man, but said it was out of self-defense because he was choking her. The investigation, who noted there was no marks on her neck, her did not believe her alleged lying eyes. She is now at the Carson's County Jail now, and will likely make a court appearance one of these nights. Eagles' song isn't the only music pushed someone over the edge. In April, a Colorado woman allegedly started choking her boyfriend after he sung Macklemore's Flesh Off for 25 times. Oh, music and violence, man. First off, when I read this, I said, the one thing you don't do, guys, seriously, don't tell a woman to shut up. I mean, seriously, that's strike one right there. And the next thing you know, especially if you know your girlfriend, and especially if you're an ex, why would you push her buttons? It's almost like you're daring her to do something, and she did. Hopefully this pretty much prompted the both of them to say it may be best that we both live separate lives in separate apartments, because obviously there's no clicking here between us the two. I don't know if if the charge is going to be pursued. Keep in mind, she did try to stab. I allegedly stabbed the guy with a butter knife. But keep in mind that this may or may not be dropped down to a lesser charge. But make no mistake about it. No matter what happens here, the both exes are definitely done, and both as exes and as roommates, because there's no way she can actually live with him. And I'll be surprised that guy actually have the guts to go back to her after she already showed that she can snap at any moment. I'll leave a link below. It's something that has actually caught my attention. To get you guys to decide on that. But yeah, that was. Don't push the woman's buttons, man. Just don't do it. It's not. You may not like the response. Now here's a story, the last story of What's News, that I don't know how this is possible, but I'm going to read the whole entire story because this is something that I'll just read the story. This guy is such a good roommate, you never even know he was there. A group of students at Ohio State University was living in the off-campus home near the school for about a month before they discovered some random guy had been living in their basement the whole time. The Lathering reported this the Silver Engineer student Mark Hartman told the campus publication that he and his roommate joked about having a ghost when they would notice that the cardboard over the microwave mysteriously left open. When this kept happening, the residents decided to search the house and focused on the locked door down 2 flights of stairs in their basement. They had their retractors to open the door and discovered a fully furnished bedroom with pictures of a man, his family, and his friends. The article also goes on to say that the computer science student Brett Muggan, who also lived in the house, realized that he had seen the man on the property once before, but assumed he was just visiting another person who lived on the other floor at the time. The man introduced himself as Jeremy and mentioned, "I was wondering when I was going to get to meet you people who live there." The resident took the discovery pretty well, leaving Jerry notes and asking him to get in touch when they contact him. They moved his stuff out of the out of the charge and lock and change the lock. Sorry. Some residents of the house plan to take legal actions against the North Steppen Realty, who they fought for not changing the lock and making sure the house was vacated before the new tenants move in. Interesting. The article also concludes in this last paragraph, this isn't the first time someone had realized they had a secret roommate, housemate. Last September, South Carolina woman named Tracy started kind of freaked out when she heard a bizarre noise in a attic. She thought that it was some poltergeist stuff going on, but then turns out to actually be her ex-boyfriend. Oh yes, I remember this article. I remember this. Who just got out of jail and thought of getting up camp in her attic was a reasonable idea. In January, when the 73-year-old woman was in Washington, a state called a repairman to fix her fence. The man discovered a stranger had been living in a crawl space under the house. Wow. So again, obviously this stuff happened a lot more time, but I do remember that story. I actually think I reported it in my old video before I actually got an accident deleted. But this is definitely the one with the woman and the ex-boyfriend. I definitely do remember. Again, I don't know how long you can go on not realizing someone is there. According to this article, for what I understand, there isn't no charges being brought up on the guy. They're not happy with the realty agent, but you gotta wonder, was the guy moved in before they cleared out the house or after the fact? And you gotta wonder how much can they really blame the realty agent? In fact, if they did check and there was no one there when they first got there. It is a very, very awkward situation. The guys did seem to take it pretty well, but to me, I probably would have been really ticked off, and I'm probably saying, what the hell are you doing in my house? But apparently, they're not taking it as a big deal. I would. I definitely would, but it's kind of weird, because I always wondered, how do you not know guys living underneath there? I mean, really, how do you not know? But in that case, I'll leave a link below to the video. You guys can check it out yourself. There is actually a video, so you can actually look at it, as well as the article. I'll leave links to all the articles and let you guys decide. So that's it for now, guys. Like always, your feedback does matter. I'll leave the links to all the videos that I've talked about. But until then, this is J77 saying take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon.